Oh, hello, Nick family. What happened to our music? Hello, Nick family. Welcome to the Just Knickin It weekly show. A lot to talk about tonight. Um, as fans, we believed, we suffered, we argued, um, and we finally had our moment. The New York Knicks are 2026 NBA champs. Great parade today, great ceremony at City Hall. Tonight, we're not doing a lot of analytics, any analytics or roster construction ideas for next season. Tonight is really about reflecting on the people who make this championship possible: players, coaches, front office, and just to talk about their journey and what it meant, to bring a championship back to New York. So let's let's get into it. This is the Flowers show. Geoff, how are you, my man? How you feeling?
Uh, I'm still in disbelief, but it's even better than I ever could have imagined. Like, it is better than I could have imagined. And it's like, you know how you just have the perfect dessert? You have the perfect dessert and you have like a spoon and a half full left. And you just kind of are trying to just savor like every
Mm-hmm.
last like morsel of it. You know what I mean? So I'm just in savor mode where I'm just kind of trying to glom on to everything from what they're saying at the parades to I before we got on I watched the 6 minute video of the final plays of the 29-point comeback and just it's just fuel for the soul, and so for me it's just been about I had to laugh because on Tuesday my brother texted me and uh, he said, he said something like, "Yeah, game 6, not necessary. Don't worry about it. Go celebrate."
Yeah,
So
yeah. I was at the parade today. I got a chance to meet up with Sim and his family, Tony Crow. Then when we went to where did we go? American Whiskey on West 30th Street to watch the ceremony. I got a chance to meet up with Ron and John of Still Nick fans. Worldwide L from For the Love of the Game was there. Shop Howells from Nick Real Talk. And I forget his name, relatively new to Nick Universe. Young guy, reminds me of Delusional, just in terms of young guys just out there putting out quality content. He's the one that did the 24-hour um, show. I met him today, and it was just really good to see, other Nick content creators and to go on this journey, with them. I saw Worldwide L, and I remember us talking about Quickly and Barrett and why we rushing and we need to let them grow. And I'm like, I don't think this is the OKC core. So if there's an opportunity to upgrade, we should. It just, it was you know, just remembering all of those, those times and to be able to share it with them and with you, Geoff. I met Delusional as well.
yeah, I
Forgot
saw
to
those
say
pictures.
that.
That was awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For the first time, I met Delusional. Um, so yeah, just a great time. So tonight, I kind of want to go through the starters, the coach, front office. I'm basically Leon Rose, and just kind of talk about their journey and how they helped us, win the championship. And we're gonna say Brunson for last. We're gonna say not for last, but like in the middle. Um, let's start with Cat. He spent years hearing he couldn't be the best player on the championship team. He was soft. He couldn't win at the highest level. Mentally fragile. How much, Geoff, did this championship change his legacy? Change how people think about him?
Well, first of all, if we're going to talk about Towns, let's think about where this all started for him. The Knicks
Mhm.
were coming off a 17-win season. and we thought that we were in the town sweepstakes till the lottery hit, right? And we
Mhm.
won 2 games. I think it was against Atlanta and Orlando late in that series. I think Tim Hardaway Jr. went crazy for a couple of games, won us those games. And had we not won those games, we would have been the number 1 pick instead of Minnesota. But instead, we fell to 4th, and then we ended up with Kristaps. But so, I remember being a reader of Posting and Toasting at the time, and we wrote his name and put it in an envelope and put it in the freezer in homage to Patrick Ewing. And then, I never dreamed once he got going in Minnesota that he would even, that him on the Knicks was even an option.
Yeah.
And then, as you talk about, you have this player who is really maligned for a guy who's probably the greatest offensive center we've ever seen in terms of efficiency and production. I mean, at 50, 40, 84 guys do not grow on trees, and they certainly not from a 7-footer. That's the rarest of rare breeds, right? And so, but this is a Jersey kid. I think he was Edison, New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken. So he's right close to the city growing up. He grew up a Knicks fan. He cut class so he could watch reruns of Linsanity, like the rest of us were doing. So there's a guy who grew up with the Knicks, and then and for him to then really transform his game in a way that nobody expected, in my opinion. Like his transformation on the defensive end from a liability. Everybody said we couldn't win because of Brunson's defense and because of Towns' defense. And in this championship run, Brunson's defense and Towns' defense were both strengths rather than liabilities. You know who the players who had the most steals in the NBA Finals were?
Who?
Brunson had 10, and Towns was second with 7.
Wow.
So, you know what I mean? It's just stuff like that really, to me, is remarkable. And to me, also, I think his unselfishness. It's a guy who get 30 points easily, right? Just feed me the ball and I can get you. He could be a 30-point guy a game in this league.
Mhm.
But that wasn't what his season was about. His season was about, what can I do to help this team win a championship and maximize this group? And I think after game 3 of the Hawks series, when we kind of made him point Towns for a little while, operating out of the nail, that really worked well. And then with Wembanyama in the fold, his offense wasn't really what was going to carry the day in the finals. And he still found a way with key rebounds and key defensive possessions to make an impact. And so kudos to him. He's one of my favorite players to watch. I couldn't be happier for him. He's a great basketball player, but he's even better human being and just generous and kind, and someone you can genuinely look up to as an athlete. And I think that's become a much rarer breed in today's day and time. And so I tip my cap to him.
And very articulate too. If you watch him on post game interviews, he always takes the high road, and has good insights. Before he came to the Knicks, he had the same reputation Julius Randle had. Really good regular season player, but you couldn't count on him in the playoffs. Now he started coming out of it a little bit. He had that really good series against Denver, but still up and down, still up and down. And then when he came to the Knicks, I thought last season, I know some Knicks fans say his playoffs last year was up and down. To the eye test, from what I remember, I thought he had a really good playoff series for the Knicks last season, and this year he was just stout. And we were talking before the game, Geoff. I think that's where there's some meat on the bones, because I think it took Mike Brown and his coaching staff a really long time not to get him more field goal attempts, but to get him more touches and put the ball in his hand and allow him to use all of his talents. That happened in the Atlanta series. And I think if we start the season with that, and with the 2-man game that we saw between him and Brunson, to your point, the conversation we was having before the show, I think there is more meat on the bone there. Cat in this series show he's mentally tough, which I always thought he was. Um, physically tough, which I always thought he was. You don't get double doubles, lead the league, or first or second in double doubles, not being physically tough. I'm just happy for him. I'm happy for him because I think he's solidified now. He's bona fide now. He's not, well, he was just riding the coattail of Brunson and he got a championships and we still have questions about him. No. He was integral to us winning the championship. Brunson doesn't get a chance to do what he does in game 5 if Towns doesn't do what he does against Atlanta and turn that series around. So what? Anyway, let's let Ajay.
Salute, big fella.
Yeah,
you look like the parade wore you out, boss.
Nah, I'm all right. That Queen, if Queen could survive, I could survive because Queen went like overtime. She OD'd in it. She went to the parade with like the after hangout, and she was there at 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I've learned is you got to be in shape to go to a parade. You got to be in shape. Like, I got some work to do. You got to be in shape to go to a parade. Yeah. But how do you think this championship changed Cat's legacy, if at all?
I don't listen. What we sitting here talking like we didn't know Cat was an all-star, all NBA player. I don't. It doesn't change much because we already knew who Cat was. There's a reason why Minnesota, like he was a top player in Minnesota. There's a reason why they offered him $56 million, like he was a top paid, because we know what he could do. He's not a second tier player. He's a top tier player. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think. I mean, there are little things we see here and there that he's a better defender than, sometimes when he wants to play defense, he could actually play defense, right? Especially against big guys. We already knew he was a great passer. He can see the floor. We already knew that. We knew he's a great shooter. I mean, but we could still say there are certain things he needs to improve on, right? We would like to see Cat play more down low, because there's a lot of times, man, he could really, really eat down there if he stays down there, depending on what team you play, right? Depending on the matchup, depending on who they put on him. He could eat down low. We see he has a mid-range. We see he could drive to the basket. We see his game, like he plays down low. All these things we noticed that he could actually do that more. So he could be, depending on the matchup, he could be smarter and pick and choose the weapon that he want to use against particular players. You know what I'm saying? So we knew he had all those weapons. It doesn't change much because we already knew he was a great player.
I think we knew it, but there's been a lot of questions about Karl-Anthony Towns. I mean, one of the reasons why Minnesota traded him was because they felt that it was time for a change, that he wasn't a playoff performer. Some of it was salary, some of it was salary too. I think the questions about Cat, I don't think anybody questioned his talent. But I think in terms of him putting it all together, he had a reputation similar to Randall. When you went into the Minnesota chats after that trade, if you didn't know who they were talking about, you would have thought they were talking about Randall. Don't show up in the playoff, fades. You can't be, all of the things we talk about Randall, that was the knock on Karl-Anthony Towns. So the talent, yes. But I don't think everybody was as high on him, Ajay, as you were. I think that he had a lot of criticism, and quite frankly, some of it was warranted based on his playoff play. No.
You know what, Queen? First of all, I disagree with you a little bit. I don't think Minnesota traded him because they thought he wasn't a playoff performer. If that was the case, they wouldn't trade him for Julius Randle, because who was also not a playoff performer. I think it had to do with money. I think it had to do with team structure. They felt like they didn't need two bigs. Maybe the spacing wasn't right. I don't think it was playoff performance at all. And it was the good fit for us because the spacing issue we had with Randall, Cat wasn't the same issue with the team that we had, because we don't have a center like Rudy Gobert, right? And they felt that Julius Randle was a better fit for them as a prototypical power forward.
How can you think Randle next to Gobert is a better fit than Cat next to Gobert?
That's a good question for Minnesota. I don't know how they thought that.
This is the point I'm trying to.
No, because Rudy Gobert is a typical center. They probably went for a typical power forward. Or, and they have, even because they have what's his name, Naz Reid over there, they feel could fill in for some of the stuff that Cat did, right? The 3-point shooting, the high scoring. They feel like they have a guy. It was a little bit redundant, and so that's what I think. I don't know but I'd be looking at it from this vantage point. That's what I see. Okay, and some of the questions we have about Cat, we still have him. Okay. The crazy fouls. Listen, granted, the refs were horrible. Okay, but there's some clumsiness on Cat's part. And I'm not talking about the playoff series, I'm talking about all year long. At some point, he was able to clean that up. So it's not that he's unable to do it. He just needs to discipline himself to the point where because he's able to do it when he really puts his mind to it. So he does it. So he just needs to actually apply that a little more. And I think we're going to see that the next couple of seasons when he comes here, when these guys check in for training camp, because these guys are going to go back and find out how to find a way to get better. Okay. After this whole celebrating and all that good stuff, everybody's going to go back to the lab and see how to improve. So we still have the same questions about him.
Anything you want to add, Geoff?
Just that I do think his reputation is forever changed. Like, once you have that championship under your belt, it changes the narrative. Like, it has to. Like there's just a difference there. I mean, Patrick Ewing is easily one of the top 50 players of all time. Not having a championship ring is a stain on his career, whether you like it or not. Charles Barkley, probably the best power forward outside of Tim Duncan I ever saw play. He has that same stigma attached to his name. When you win the championship, when you're part of a championship core like he was, when you're a vital piece to a championship team, it increases your perceived value across the league. So I think very much so, absolutely 100%, it changes the perception of who he is. I think he was a first ballot Hall of Famer either way, but I think that he goes from there toward much closer to legendary status, in my opinion.
I think so too. I think he's not perfect, to Ajay's point, in terms of picking up stupid fouls, but his performance these past two seasons, and to the championship on top, puts a lot of narratives around Karl-Anthony Towns to bed. Just puts him to bed. And I don't know if I don't think that was, it was always there and we just weren't seeing it. I think it was him growing and understanding what it took to win a championship and meeting the moment. Like, even when he talked, some of the things he said made you think, okay, he understands what it takes to win a championship. And I was really impressed with just his maturity throughout the season, in terms of not getting the looks that I even thought he deserved. I thought he should be a bigger part of the offense, not necessarily shooting, like I said, but just touches. And he would, basically say he feels like he can do more for the team, but it didn't impact anything else he did he didn't, to my knowledge anyway, become disruptive in the locker room. he just would come out and get it however he can get it, offensive rebounds, whatever he can do to help the team. So I don't know. I just have a lot of respect for how he carried himself this season. Anything else on Cat? All right. Let's talk about OG Anunoby. He doesn't get the headlines, at least coming into the season. Before he came to the Knicks, we heard rumblings that he felt he had an offensive game and he wanted to have more of an opportunity to show it. And I remember we was talking about, well, he coming to the wrong place, because I don't see where he's gonna have that, opportunity. And he's just grown up offensively before my eyes. What can you say about him? What have you learned about him this season? And is he one of the most underrated championship pieces, not just for the Knicks, just period? Ajay? Shout out to Andy MBK, by the way. I miss you. You in New York. I really wish we would have known that, and you could have met us at the parade and at the after, when we met up afterwards. I would have loved to have seen you. But I'm happy that you came all the way from Poland to New York to celebrate what I hope is not a once in a lifetime championship. Shout out to Andy MBK. Appreciate you.
Yep.
OG Queen. I mean, the problem. The problem is I could give you. I don't know other people's perception of OG Anunoby. I know my perception of OG Anunoby. Has that changed? Yes, because of the consistency that he showed throughout the playoffs. But everything OG Anunoby did, we knew, us as a fan base, we knew he could do it. And we've seen him do it, not consistently over a stretch or over a playoff run, right? And so next season, OG Anunoby's not going to he's not going to play like this every game. And it's going to be the same OG who's going to have, like a stretch of 3-4 games where he's unstoppable, 25, 27 points. And he's going to have a couple of games where he's like 8-10 points. We know what OG Anunoby could do. We were happy when they traded for him because we know this is the guy we can get. I don't know what other people think, but we watch this team day in and day out, every game to the final buzzer. We know what these guys do. We've seen them. So my perception of him has not changed because I know everything that he did in the playoffs. I've seen him do it, except during the playoffs, he did it consistently. Day in and day out, game in and game out. When he's not having a good game on the offensive end, he's playing great defense. He always played great defense. He always had great hands. He's always played the passing lane, sticking his hand in the cookie jar. He's always done that. Okay. And even in the playoffs, like the last game, I think he only scored like 10 points, but his defense was insane. Like, whether he was on Harper or they switched him over to another one of the or Fox, and he switched over the ARP. Like, he was playing great defense. These guys, he does that all the time. His defense is great all the time, and we know he could. So my perception of him is like, listen, I hope next season he does this more consistently. But we already knew he could do this.
So do you think that he's living here now, or do you feel like he played a bit over his head in the playoffs? Or both.
It's no or neither. Because we can't expect him to do this for 82 games. Do you know what I'm saying? It just doesn't happen. No, like nobody does. Nobody does. Like they like to call him baby Kawhi. Like, even Kawhi Leonard doesn't do this for 82 games. But I would like to see OG do this more consistently. Maybe not 82 games, but maybe 50 games out of the 82, he could do that instead of, 30 games. You know what I'm saying? Because we always knew he could do this. So we'd like to see it a little more often, a little more consistent, like he did in the playoffs.
Okay.
But it's not, he's not going to be living there. Nobody, like, it's just not possible.
When I say live there, I don't mean like out of your mind, but you know what you're getting from Kawhi game in and game out. You know what you're getting from Brunson game in and game out. Like there's certain players, you know what you're getting from them game in and game out. And I thought early in the season, we knew what we were getting from OG defensively game in and game out, but offensively there would be good stretches and some dips, then good stretches and some dips. I guess my question is, do you think he's at the point where both defensively and offensively, he's going to be pretty consistent?
He's going to be consistent. He's going to be better because his teammates now trust him more. So it's going to get to him more for him to do that, right? And there are going to be some games where he's missing shots, but he's going to get more touches. Yeah, he's going to get more touches, right? And because he's getting more touches, he's going to be more impactful on the offensive end. Mm-hmm. Okay, but it's not that he's played out of his mind. He's played regular. He was consistent. And he's done that throughout the course of the years that he's been, because you have stretches of games where he's consistent. But this stretch happens to be in the playoffs, and yeah, he scores. Yeah, there's a game where he scored 33 points. That stands out. That's not normal OG, because OG, can give you a stretch of games where he's scoring above like 24, 22, 24 games. He could put together a string of games where he does that. 33 is an outlier, and you can expect that one game out of a 10-game stretch, he could do that. And just like one game out of a 10-game stretch, he'll give you 9 points or 10 points. We always knew he was capable of doing it. But I expect next season for him to be a little more consistent, probably because his teammates will find him more.
Okay. Geoff?
Well, you can't talk about, or I can't talk about OG's performance without talking about his true shooting percentage. All-time NBA record true shooting percentage. And for those who don't follow that stat, it takes into account 2-pointers, 3-pointers, and free throws, and so it's more of an accurate assessment of how efficient a player is compared to just regular field goal percentage or even effective field goal percentage. To have the best shooting percentage, true shooting percentage of all time, while taking 45% of your shots from 3-point territory and knocking down 48.9% of those shots on high volume, I'm talking 4 shots per game plus 4.4 shots per game. That is insane level of shot making on his part, and just an incredible performance, and over the entire stretch of the playoffs, not just the finals, not just one. I mean, 4 series long of just. And the other part about that is so great, that's underrated, is that his free throw rate went up. His free throw rate was almost 0.4, which is what you see from, it was over 0.4, which is what you see from big men, right? Mm-hmm. And especially in the Spurs series, you saw they had no answers for him. They were too small or too slow. Even Wembanyama, when he got switched on him, OG could get a shot over Wemby almost every time that he could get what he wanted. And if they put someone slow like Luke Cornett, he dusted him. He put somebody smaller on him, he bullied him. He got inside, he dunked the ball. He got to the free throw line, and he made his free throws when he got there. He was just incredible. And I don't know that I mean, I don't know he can be at that level every postseason. Like he was like on one. I mean, it was on a heater. I don't know if he can sustain that. I don't know if this is the new OG or whatever you want to call it. I do think that his 3-point percentage was probably a little bit high, but a lot of those looks were of the wide open variety, but some of them were with Wemby draped on him like a cape too. So, just a shout out to him for being no moment was too big for him. He's just cool, calm, collected. Like he doesn't smile. He's just locked in all the time. And you need guys like that. And to think that it took RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly to bring him here. And I don't think that's a trade anyone would second guess at this point. Like I was in favor of it at the time, but I mean, he's everything that we hoped for and imagined when we made that trade back Christmas time in 2023.
Jeff, I think he's more. Like, I didn't expect this offensively from OG Anunoby. I remember when he signed that contract and people were like, oh, well, we're going to need 15 points. And I was like, I don't think that's where his value is. I think his value is defense, being disruptive, hitting the corner three. Yeah, I think that's where his value is. And he just said, hold my beer. I got something else for you, and to see his game evolve in real time, the jab step, pull up, the drive to the basket, fade away, the 3-point shot, contested, right? Always good in the corners, but now, contested 3-point shots. And I think what's next for him, we'll see. We're going to start talking Kawhi level, is to be able to create for yourself and to create for others. So I'm really interested to see how his game evolves next season. And I agree with Latoria. I think this was his coming out party. The playoffs is where players separate. The playoffs to me is where you become solidified. How many times have we seen players in the regular season be great and fall off in the playoffs? He was the opposite. I think his game is going to grow. That doesn't usually happen this late in your career. What is this, 7 years or something?
He was 7 years in Toronto. This is 10 years for him.
What? Wow. Yeah. So this doesn't usually happen, right? This late in your career. But I'm glad he's here, and I'm looking forward to him taking the next step next year. Anything else on OG? All right. We're going to get to Brunson before we get to the rest of them, because
I want
Yeah.
one more thing.
yeah, absolutely.
His social game evolved too, because they got him to talk, smile, laugh. So there's some sort of evolution going on over there, not just on the court. So
Yeah. OG already had a championship. He did. I don't think he played in that series, but he played the 2 series before that, right?
And he didn't play in the finals, but he had some weird like appendectomy or some strange thing like that caused him the series, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. But being around it, he had an opportunity to take in what it takes, to win. Salute to you, Randu. Appreciate you rocking with us. Tori B, J Rax, D Grant 63, the X Production 90, JJ in the house. Sherwin, Kerry Cox, Dwayne Dennis was in the building early. D Grant, appreciate Geraldine MacGyver. I didn't even see you. Appreciate you, sis. We did it. Let's go, Knicks. Oh man. Yeah. So let's talk about Brunson, because I don't want to save him for last and then run out of time. We all know the story, right? Doubted at almost every level of his career, doubted whether or not he can be a franchise cornerstone, a 1A, the best player on the championship team. What have you learned about Brunson during his time with the Knicks? Oh, Salute, sis. I didn't even see you snuck in while I was looking at my notes. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm great. How are
Awesome.
you?
Listen, I'm good. Cloud nine right now. You know, a little sore from that parade though, but I'm. Other than that, I'm good.
Look, I turned on the TV and said, "Crank it up. I'll be all right." I wasn't trying to get around. Look, I went to the Giants parade and I was like, "Whoa!" Now I know that this one was going to be out of this world, boy.
Yeah.
But I stayed home. I said, "Let me not do this to myself."
yeah. It was getting a little rough. Just the standing for me, 5 hours. I got there around 6:30, 6:15, and they didn't come till like 10:30.
Right.
So that was a lot of standing. But we're talking about Jalen Brunson, and maybe you could start us off. He's been doubted, as I just said, throughout his career. Then he comes to New York and he gets it done. What, if anything, have you learned about him from watching him these past, what has it been, 4 seasons?
4 years.
4 years.
Well, he takes whatever they say about him to heart, and he puts it in his He says, "All right, I can show you better than I can tell you," So he just goes about his work, and just like his father trained him. He's like, "Look, let's do this. If you don't like it, no pain, no gain." So he just wraps it and he just put it in his work. His work is his proof for whatever he's doing. So that's the best part of it, And since he grew up around the league and everything, he knows these people. He sees them, he sees how they operate, and he's like, okay, I can take some of that and I take some of this and sugarcoat it in there and put it to work. And they said practice make perfect, So that's what he was doing. It's a great thing.
Definitely a great thing, and it was great to watch. Geoff, what have you learned, if anything, watching him for 4 years? I'm not going to say if anything, because I know you've learned some things.
Well, I don't know what temperature that water is in his veins, but I know it's below 32 degrees. I have never seen a player with fourth quarter clutch performance after fourth quarter clutch performance since Michael Jordan was ripping our hearts out in the 90s. I mean, he just virtuoso performance after virtuoso performance. And it doesn't matter how bad he was shooting up till that point. It comes to the fourth quarter and it clicks. And I watched, like I said, the last 6 minutes of that the game 29-point comeback, and just shot after shot after shot, unbelievable shot making. And then in the game clinch, in the series clincher, 45 points, and just like, I mean, incredible shot making. And you know what? Here's the thing that and it cracks me up that anyone would try and discredit him. I'm here to tell you right now, the Spurs have some of the best defensive guards I've ever seen. Dylan Harper is tough defender. Devin Vassell, really good wing defender. Steph Castle, outstanding wing defender. Plus, you've got the 7'4" freak who can guard 1 through 5 himself. And he said, "I don't care. You still can't stop me."
Nope.
Like, you want to talk about the heart of a champion? You want to talk about the will to win, the Black Mamba mentality, the Michael Jordan mentality. I'm not saying that he's those players, but he has that will to win and that indomitable will to carry his team to greater heights. And when he got here, he made our floor the second round of the playoffs. And now we've seen where he can take us with our ceiling, and hopefully he can do it more than once.
Yeah. I never understood the height issue. Like, if you're not good enough to be a 1A, I get that part. But to me, that's regardless of size. You have to prove it, right? Remember, Giannis was criticized before he won it. The Joker, I believe, was criticized, before he won it. Like there was rumblings. Can this guy really be the best player on the championship team? I think the same thing with Tatum as well.
Tatum,
So
yeah.
yeah, this is what happens, and I think Brunson was starting to get those rumblings as well. But I didn't think it was because of his size. I think it was just because of going there every year and just not getting it done. And I think he put that. Not even I think he put that to bed. This season, he solidified. I remember, and then I'll get to you, Ajay. Allen Iverson, who I'm a big fan of, in his Hall of Fame speech, he said, "For all of my fans, you arguing with other people, like in the barbershop, whether I'm good or not, great or not." He said, "Your man is going into the Hall of Fame now. Basically, I'm bona fide right now. I'm solidified into the conversation." And I just think that's the same with Jalen Brunson, the end of the conversation. Ajay, what have you learned about Jalen? When he first came here, did you think he would be this?
No, no, I didn't. Um, I mean that's just is plain and simple
Yeah.
and straightforward that I can say no. I didn't. Um, I didn't. I no. I don't think anybody did. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
and they spoke to his old coach, Coach Wright. And he said he didn't think Jalen Brunson would be that good. I think there are two people in this world, maybe four people. He could be that. I'm gonna say Brunson, his parents, and maybe I guess five. Tibbs and Leon Rose,
Yeah.
because they
Erica thought so.
uh,
His wife.
his wife.
His wife.
Uh, I don't think his wife cared about basketball that much, but his parents actually, guided him and contributed to his being relentless and the warrior that he is. And that doesn't mean his wife doesn't support. I'm sure he does. I'm sure
Yeah.
she does. I'm sure she does. But not to that level from when he was a kid to bring him to this. But aside from those people, Queen, I don't think anybody did think. The only thing is with us as a fan base, we were like, okay, Leon Rose picked him. All right, let's rock with him, right? We weren't vocal as the big the the big media, the ESPNs and Fox Sports and all those people in the world who put themselves out there. And even after we were sweeping, we on a like 10-game winning streak, you still have some clowns out there saying, nah, they're not gonna win the championship. They cannot win the championship. It's impossible for them to win the championship. Whoever comes out of the West is automatically champion, and so on and so forth, right? It just and listen, honestly, the disrespect still is still going. I don't know if you guys have seen ESPN's way too early prediction for next
Mhm.
season. They got the Knicks as fourth, uh, um,
Fourth or fifth.
fourth or fifth
That's hard.
favorite.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. We're just gonna have to beat him into submission. They like get, what, we gonna have to win 2 in a row for them to be like, okay, you know what, that team is good. But
Yep.
I don't expect that to happen because I don't think they'll ever change. But no, I did not expect Jalen Brunson to be that good. I know he was a good player. He's a great, because we seen what he did in Dallas, so we knew he had skills. He could score, on at that level, but we just didn't know. I mean, what we witnessed in Game 5 is I don't even know how to describe this. This is some, like, just that game. They could probably make a movie on determination on that game, like how this guy. I don't think you guys realize he was hurt. Like he turned his ankle. Like really, if that was a regular season, they would have pulled him out of that game. He did not want to come back to New York to have to play another Game 6. So he was not going to lose that game on that day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's heart and determination. I listen, and then he's got the skills to back it up. He's got the results to back it up. I did not think we could see this from Jalen Brunson.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think it when we got him. But let me just get to the super chat real quick. Pat, we appreciate you. The greatest parade I have ever seen in my lifetime. I worked down there. People got down there at 3 a.m. I watched it at home. Best seats in the house. I hear you. Let me tell you, when that alarm went off at 4, I got up. I looked to my left. I looked to my right. I said, "What you gonna do? this is the moment of truth right here." But I'm glad I went. Listen, I wanted Jalen Brunson 2 years before he came to the Knicks. I was on the Queen's Court, and I said, "There's this guard in Dallas who I think he can be our point guard on a championship team." I didn't think he would be the best player on the championship team, but I thought he could be our point guard because he was smart. He knew how to win, his decision making. Like he just came across to me from afar anyway, just being so steady. And I said, we can use that guy. If he's our point guard, I think we would be well on our way. And then when they didn't offer him a contract, I said, oh my, like this can really happen. I wasn't sure if he was on the Knicks radar or not. But when he came, I just thought he would be a really good point guard, a really good leader for this team. And as time went on, I learned that he was more than that. And I really began to believe that he can be the best player on the championship team. I thought he needed to get his floor game together a little bit. But I really thought he could be that. Where does he rank in Knicks history right now, Pam?
Knick history. Look, I was just happy that we had a point guard under 25.
He's more than that now.
Yeah, well, he's more than that now. But I was just happy when we first got him. Like, okay, we got a point guard, and he's not 30.
Right.
Okay. Well, to me, he ranks right. To me, he's 2 because he won the championship. He's behind Mr. Clyde Frazier, baby, for me, because he's the point guard and whatever. That's me.
Okay. All right. Ajay, where does he rank for you?
He's on the phone.
He's on the
phone. Oh, okay. Geoff?
Well, in terms of guards, I think second is right. Willis Reed was the MVP of the league, though. I mean, I think we people tend to forget about the original captain, and I'm not really sure why. Like Willis Reed was him before there was a him. I mean, he was undersized at the center position and did everything. I mean, and Clyde's still the GOAT, as Rafa rightly points out. After that, it's getting harder and harder to keep Brunson off the list. I mean, if you want to put him third, I wouldn't argue with it. But I still have to put those 2 other guys ahead of him. Now, Brunson wins the second championship or beyond that, then that changes the conversation. And I kind of am leery about doing that because Brunson's time's not finished. Like he's only been with the Knicks for 4 years. So he still has an opportunity. But as of right now, I would put him third.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Apologies.
No worries. I think I would put him 4th. Even though Patrick Ewing didn't win a championship, he's top 50 all time, top 75 all time. And him not winning, I don't know if it was just because he didn't perform. Like, I think if Pat had a team around him like Brunson, I think we have one by now. But if he wins another one, Man, then we're gonna have some hot and heavy conversations. But I'm not arguing with anybody that puts him ahead of Patrick Ewing. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And I didn't even think about Willis, Willis Reed. So that's a great point as well. And there's always primacy bias. Is that the right word? Recency bias, because we witnessed this, and the other ones, other than Patrick, were like clips and historical data and stats and things of that sort, and just kind of where they rank amongst the all-time greats. Top 5 for sure, but I'm not arguing with anybody that puts him 3, 2, 1. Nah, I'm not ready. I'm not ready for that. Not ready for that. Salute Knick Nation. We're gonna get to AJ, then we're gonna get to you. I also met Knick Nation today. I forgot. So that was an honor. That was a pleasure. We're on the panel. A lot of times you can go years without meeting a person. I haven't met Geoff yet in person, right? Hopefully that'll change this year when the schedule comes out, Geoff, and I see, which game, and hopefully it falls on a weekend and I can make it happen. But yeah, it was good to meet you, Knick Nation. AJ, where do you weigh in on?
We met before.
We did?
You just didn't remember. Mm-hmm. We met at what's the place called?
Legends?
Where we went? Legends.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah.
You know my memory.
You know her condition.
You know my condition. We could have had a full-fledged conversation. And
I share that same thing.
Right, Queen. Right. Go on a road trip all the way to Atlanta. And look at, have we met before?
Right.
So who are you?
Right.
Man, that's a tough question. And
it is a tough question.
So my answer is what do you call it? Recency bias. So I'm not even gonna call it that, right? Where do I rank him? So this is my ranking, right? It has nothing to do like with whether I'm right or wrong, whether I'm, whatever. I never saw Clyde play. I wasn't watching the Knicks when Clyde was playing. So yeah, it's I see those old footages, the slow moving things. It looks nice. I know what history is telling us, right? Like he was great. Willis Reed, same thing. It's cool. I'm guessing for history, those guys will probably, when you say top 5, we talk about those 3 guys, right? And then Patrick Ewing and Jalen Brunson in any order, right? But me, from what I've witnessed as a Knicks fan, who's been following the Knicks maybe 1 or 2 years after we drafted Patrick Ewing, I'm probably gonna have to say, him and Patrick Ewing are the 2 best Knicks of all time, based on what I've seen. Okay, again, historically, maybe Clyde, Willis Reed, those guys, but my personal perspective, those are the guys I've seen play. I've seen Patrick Ewing do some amazing things. Unfortunately, he didn't get us the chip. Okay, but not because he didn't get it, because he didn't have the guys around him to get it. We know there's 5 Knicks on the court at any particular moment. He can't be all 5 of them. So 1, 2, 2, 1, either way. I mean, I don't know who's 1 and 2. If championship is the determining factor, obviously Jalen Brunson is going to be the top Knick of all time, the best Knick of all time. If the full career, because Patrick Ewing was here much longer, and Patrick Ewing holds a lot of the team's records till this day. He's probably going to be your best player, depending on what your what the determining factor is, what the criteria is. But again, in my life as a Knicks, my Knicks fan life, the best two players are Patrick Ewing and Jalen Brunson.
Okay.
All right. Knick Nation, welcome to the panel.
Yes. I pulled an Aj today, big time.
Hollywood Squared.
That's way.
Came in bopping too. Like,
I know. You made it back. You made it back already?
No, you kidding me? I'm in Jersey now.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
No.
Beep, beep. I don't know if you want to weigh in before that on just what you've learned about Brunson since he's been here. You could answer both, or if you just want to go right into where he is, where he stands in Knick history, ranks in Knick history, you could start there. It's up to you.
My take on Brunson, even watching him today during the the point of parade and how we were sitting there, he gives me the feeling that he gives me two sides of a coin. He's extremely confident in the way he carries himself on the court, off the court. But he's also the other flip side of that coin is he's extremely humble in ways too. He still just wants to be one of the guys, even though he's the captain, the leader. He still just kind of wants to blend and be one of the guys as well. He doesn't really want to try to place himself above people. He's very humble to a fault. I kind of just say thank God for his parents who, that comes from someplace. And in order to have that education of being, that being instilled in you, and it's genuine, it's a core to who he is. He has a drive that is like no others. He, he takes the game, he takes the life of it very seriously. And he seems to have that ability to hone in on things and to rise at the moment. There are, like we always would say, people complain about him putting up all these shots, but when it's the fourth quarter and it's time, there's nobody else you really want with that ball in your hand besides him, because you know that regardless of this, he's not gonna keep that gun in the holster. He's pulling out. He's emptying the clip, So he's not going down and saying, hey, I'm sorry we lost, and yeah, but maybe I could have did this, do that. No, he's doing it, and he's doing it in real time. So I'm thankful for him. I'm thankful for his parents, thankful for his mom, his dad, and every other coach and any other mentors that has been instilled in his life. That is a great young man who sees the bigger picture. And people like that are rare in certain instances, particularly in the NBA, where everything is grab and make it about me. Me. There are so many characters of that. Look at the one over there in Cleveland. He's played in like 10 teams now, still chasing that ring because it's all about me. Look, I got the big beard and it's about me. So thank God, you know what I mean, that's not what we have. As far as the question, I believe you were saying, as far as where I rank him, as far as a Knick of all time, I think that's the question, right?
Yeah.
I rank him, I'm going to say right off the bat, I rank him as, let me, hone it in a bit. I rank him number one offensively. I rank him number one. I rank him the best offensive player that the Knicks have had to me in my lifetime in the history of what I know and watching them. I don't particularly rate him above Frazier because of Frazier's balance of offense and defense. And to me, that, the ability to get stops, the ability to be the guy to get stops is big for me. Then if it, if I had to like place so it's to me, it's kind of more of categories. I can't then just say he's the best at this because there's certain things he just doesn't do. You know what I mean? He's not Patrick Ewing. He's not you'll never be able to hone in and say how many guys did Patrick Ewing deter from not even thinking about coming in there or just knowing that, hey, I can't do that. Or how many offensive game plans have been around, working around what Patrick Ewing did defensively, and still giving you 20-10 every night. So those are different categories. But that's, in a nutshell, that's how I see it as far as for Brunson. But awesome player all around, in that sense, because hey, he does what he can do. He knows his limitations, and he also allows it to work for him, because to stand in there with guys coming downhill and just saying, hey, I'm gonna take this hit, and it don't matter the size sometimes. Big body Brunson is still standing in there taking that hit, so it ain't easy. Believe me, it ain't easy getting run over by a 245-pound man at times, guys that are, reining in 7-8 inches over you and leaning down and, coming in, especially trying to give you the business at times. So he does what he can, but offensively, I rate him number one of all time.
Yeah. You bring up a good point, and I want to ask the panel, when you're doing these rankings, and you're comparing them to another person, are you ranking them in terms of this player being the best he can be, or this player at his best versus this player at his best? Or are you looking at, well, this player was better in this area than the other person was? Because that area may or may not be a strength for that person. When you're looking at the best, when your rankings, what's your particular criteria, Pam? Is it just championship? You win a championship, you the best. Is it like, what goes into your personal criteria for picking who's the best?
Hold on 1 second, too, because forgive me. I'm just sorry, because I didn't really introduce myself to her. Pam, how you doing? It's a pleasure to meet you and to have you as far as on the panel. And it was rude of me, and I apologize. So I'm sorry, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. For me, I really choose people, on their position. For me, he's the best point guard that I've seen in a long time. I had the opportunity to see Clive in his, like after he won the championship, but it's like, and how steady he was. Because I was always a JoJo White, the Celtics fan because I liked the way his game was. So the point guards, I rank him like that. And then he won the championship for me, since I haven't never seen one of those. Mm-hmm. So that's how I put him behind Clyde. So that's how I viewed it.
Okay. Ajay, what's your criteria when you're ranking? Like, what goes into your personal criteria?
Well, for one, one thing's very important is how, the sample size, right? And this is where I say Patrick Ewing is hugely important, because Patrick Ewing, Brunson's only been here like 5 years. Patrick Ewing's been here much longer, and he's been more impactful. And they both did the same thing, really take the team out of the gutter and bring the team to relevance, and really to Patrick Ewing did to the doorstep of championship a couple of times. Brunson actually went through the door, and granted, Brunson did it in a much shorter time than Patrick Ewing, but Patrick Ewing, for all intents and purposes, I know he was traded to Seattle or whatever, but he's a Knick lifer. Like, he literally spent his entire career with the Knicks. Brunson, he's not there yet in terms of longevity with the team. All right. The second criteria is your impact on the team, like your impact on winning. It's kind of hard to say that, because both of those guys, when they walked through the door as the Knicks, they literally changed the culture of the team. Patrick Ewing did in 1985. By 1987, we became, a good team. And he went through so many seasons where he did not have good teammates around him, and we were still considered a good team with Patrick Ewing at the at the center spot, right? Uh, Jalen Brunson came in here. He pretty much did the same thing. So it coincided with a lot of other things with Jalen Brunson, right? Tom Thibodeau was here, changed the culture, and they bring in they bring in different guys. They bring you had IQ and Barrett, so you had different stuff going on at the same time. But that's another another criteria, and of course is deliver results, right? Patrick Ewing didn't deliver the big one, but he delivered. I mean, we had several, a couple of Eastern Conference Finals with him, right? Or Eastern Conference Championship. I know we don't call it that, but that's what it is. Those are in the rafters, right? And a couple of trips to the final, many trips to the Eastern Conference Finals with him, and that's another criteria. Uh, that I consider when I'm doing, and that's why I say, if I seen those guys play, so I know, again, Clyde, it was great historically. What he did, I understand people who are who would place him up there, but I can only go from from my time, what I've seen, and that's the final criteria is what I've seen. So
Okay, so that's a good point. You going by what the players you've experienced. The reason I said top five because every time you there's a trivia, what's his name? Richie Guerin. So I'm like, he might
yeah,
be great too. I've never
we
seen
don't
him,
know. Yeah. But
Um,
Queen, I want to say another thing real quick. Like
yeah.
a lot of people, right? And for
Mhm.
us who've been Knicks fans, like I said, you know, with the Ewing years, right? And a lot of people still talk about the finger roll. Like I hope people don't hold Patrick. That finger roll,
Mhm.
as obvious and evident that it was that should have dropped, it doesn't happen. Or sometimes it comes out. And game 4, right? The OG Anunoby tip game.
Mm.
Brunson's 3-pointer, I was okay with it. Like win or lose, I would have been okay with that. Let's say OG didn't tip that ball in, I would have been fine with that shot because that's a shot that Brunson would make most of the time. That finger roll is a finger roll. That's a basket Patrick would have made like eight times out of 10. So it's a high percentage shot for him. I mean, I don't want to call Jalen Brunson's high percentage shot, but at that point, that clutch time in the game, that's a shot. We've seen him take that shot all the time and make it most of the time. I would have been okay with that. There are several other options for him, but I would have been okay with that shot. Even if he had lost the game, it would have been painful that we come all the way back from 29, take a 1-point lead, and still lose the game. That would have been really painful, but that was not a terrible shot that he took. And and that's why I say when you watch those games, you live through these emotions. It factors into your rating those guys. So it's more. There's more of a personal connection to what you see than to what you see clips of, when you were a kid or when you weren't even born yet. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Before I get to Jeff, I want to and Nick Nation, APAP. I appreciate the second super chat. Thank you for rocking with us and supporting the channel. I was born in 1977. For me, it's JB. He delivered the gold, something I thought I would never see in my lifetime. It doesn't minimize Ewing and who he is. Great point. Great point. Jeff, what's your personal criteria?
Well, it's so difficult because I hate even comparing people who don't play the same position.
Yeah.
Right? Because Ewing's responsibilities on the court are completely different. And the game, comparing eras is even worse because the game
Mhm.
was completely different. Clyde didn't have a 3-point shot. How many points would he have scored if that existed, right?
Mhm.
And so different eras, different positions, all of these things complicate the calculus of what you're talking about. So in
Right.
my opinion, if you want to rate this one ahead of that one, I'm okay with whatever your personal criteria might be. And I think you also have to consider the era in which they played because Patrick Ewing ran up against Michael Jordan, who was a buzzsaw. Like if Michael Jordan doesn't exist, you can't play that game. But if Michael Jordan doesn't exist, Ewing could easily have had 2 or 3 championships. I mean, legitimately, even with the players that he had. But beating Jordan wasn't something that was done once he figured it out. Once he got past the bad boys. But here's where I think that Brunson kind of gets a little bit of a bump for me. He has the 53 years of failure on his back as an added thing, right? In other words, all of that frustration for the entire organization, everything that we were able to let go, all the catharsis that we just had, you can't tell me that those players didn't feel that in the locker room for the last 4 seasons. And so for him to be the guy who breaks the glass, who shatters the ceiling and brings us back into the championship threshold, into the championship light, he was and to do it in the manner that he did it, with 45 points, to do it with the clutchness, to do it with being small, to do it with him being doubted, to do it with all the other things that are surrounding him. If you want to give him an extra bump up because of that, I don't have a problem with it. If you want to say no, I don't, I respect that too. I grew up as a Bernard King, Patrick Ewing guy. Those were my heroes growing up. But this is more special than anything I saw with those guys. It just is. And so and Clyde and Willis did it twice. And so to me, I have those stories from my dad. All of that is secondhand, but I have to think he has to be considered for that third spot just because of all of the frustration that came before him, and also being a second round pick and a guy who frankly was thought to be an overpay when we brought him here. Right? The Knicks paid that for Brunson. Everyone told us that contract was going to be a joke, that he wasn't even a top 15 point guard in the league. Correct me if I'm wrong, but these are the conversations that I remember. And he went from, and I didn't think he was better than a top 10 point guard in the league when we signed him. I don't think anybody would have him ranked that low right now. Like, so the journey and what he's had to go through, and the underestimation and the pressure and the history and all of those things combined together. If you want to put Brunson in the top 3, I think you're well within your rights. If you want to respect Ewing, you're also well within your rights. So I think it's just how you view it. To me, it's really difficult for me across positions and across eras to say this one was better than that one. And that's why in the end, like if Clyde and Willis Reed had to play in the modern game, how would they look? I don't know what the answer to that would be. But what I do know is that in their era, they were the best of the best. And in Jalen Brunson's era today, he's the best of the best. And kudos to him for that. And so if you want to put him third, and you don't have to get any smoke for it, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. Who you drafting first?
Oh
man, Queen, come on, Queen. Like every time we come up with answers, we think we get out of the tough one. The tough one.
Wow,
she did the thing. Oh man, I think Nick Nation should go first on this one.
Yeah,
Nick drafting first.
It's gonna be Brunson. For me, because Brunson, well, number one is your point guard is typically your quarterback anyway. You know what I mean? He simply sets the tone and the direction of the team. Knowing Patrick Ewing in that time, in that era, Patrick Ewing, especially when he first came in, and a lot of times it took him quite a bit to even become vocal. He was not a vocal leader. That just wasn't who he was at first. He expounded on it quite late, more into his career, where he began to take that role. But for the most part, he was just a guy who did, but he didn't really, focus out and speak on things like that. So to me, I'm taking Brunson in that sense. Would Clyde Frazier be in a really close 1A, 1B kind of thing? Just because I believe in so much in defense. So that's hard to pull out of myself and separate that. But what Brunson can do in the fourth quarter is much more, in clutch time where things get tight. That, to me, it excels him over a lot of people, because playing in New York, this is a different animal. This is not San Antonio. This is not Phoenix. This is not Washington. This is not Cleveland. This is not Utah. This is New York. There's a lot of expectations, a lot more followers, a lot more pressure, living in the age of social media, where a lot of those players, we look back, didn't live in that. So everybody, it's not even a point of a newspaper anymore. Everybody and their mama got a phone and it just pops right into your hand. You know what I mean? And then it got even worse with algorithms. So if you're even curious about it, bleep, 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 you're getting those messages. So it's a different, those things actually come into play, because, in today's time, there's more cameras, there's more this, there's no place to hide from it. I hear people say they turn it off, but yeah, do you really? Do you really? So it's tough. You know what I mean? You turn on the TV. Oh yeah, this guy's talking about you. You're like, you turn, oh, this one's talking about me too, So to me, I'm still going with JB. And I know it's, how you say, the recent bias, but I'm still separating that in a sense because of the fourth quarter thing. That ability to close out games in the last 5 minutes. That to me is a special talent, and it doesn't just come up naturally like that. There's a lot of players that they were great players, but they didn't excel a lot of times in that last 5 minutes.
Okay, so let's just briefly just go around 30 seconds. Pam, who you got first?
Well, recent bias, I'm gonna take JB too, because he won in high school, he won in college, and he won here. So that's top three. Hey.
Okay. All right. Ajay.
And I'm gonna go with Miss Pam. He's a proven winner, so I would definitely draft him over. But I got 30 seconds. No,
no, I didn't say anything.
Can I trade all my assets so I could get picks 1 and 2 and draft?
No, because we already spent on Mikal Bridges, bro.
Jeff?
Is it just between Brunson and
no, any Knick? If you want to do Richie Guerin, you can do Richie Guerin.
I'm going with Richie. Shout out to Richie Guerin. Not a Knick trivia question if Richie Guerin's not a fan. I'm going to go with Clyde. I think that he was the most complete guard, and I think in today's NBA that it's not like it was in the 90s where you're building around centers. I think that's one of the reasons Wembanyama struggled in the finals, is that you do need guards first in this day and age. But so to me, Clyde, for his defensive prowess, and let's not forget his Game 7 performance with everybody talks about Willis coming out of the tunnel. Look at another Game 7 performance in the history of the NBA that was as dominant as that one. If you can find one, let me know. There's maybe one other so he could do it all. He was a maestro. Have to display it on a regular basis. He didn't have the clutch situation because he wasn't the primary option. The answer was to give it to Willis inside. That was the name of the game back then. And so I'm not sure what Clyde would have looked like in those situations, but I mean, he's the king of cool even to this day. So I have to believe that he would have excelled in those situations too. So if it's me, I'm going with Frazier, and that's where I'll leave it.
Yeah. I mean, keep in mind the first pick, that's not your only pick, right? That's just who you're starting with. You're still gonna fill out the roster. I don't know. Y'all know how I feel about JB. That's like you could barely say anything about Jalen Brunson during this season without me getting all up in you know. Okay, he took 15 shots and turned the ball over 7 times. Okay, who else you gonna pass the ball to? Y'all already know how I feel about JB. I think I'm gonna take Patrick Ewing. I think I'm gonna take Patrick Ewing. Now we're gonna need a guard. Don't get me wrong, we're gonna need a guard, but I think I would take Patrick Ewing. I think, yeah, it stands on its own. I don't think I have to like explain, but I think if Patrick Ewing's played in this era, he would be Towns like in terms of shooting the 3 point. I don't know about going off the dribble, but
from the 3-point shooting perspective, I agree with you. He would have added that to his game because he already could shoot from 18 feet out. It would have just been, you know what I mean? It would have been a natural, and his shooting form was ridiculously good. So I don't doubt that if he had worked on it from a young person, that he would have been a top-notch 3-point shooter as well.
Shout out to Greg. So for Greg, longevity matters with an organization, right? How is the guy better than Ewing, who was with the team for over 10 plus years? I mean, everybody have different criteria.
I kind of mentioned that too as one of the criteria.
Yeah, it's a hard question. I want them both. All right. Let's do Mikal Bridges. That's the last of the starters, right? Mikal, a little bit of Hart, and then Mike Brown, and we out of here. We're not going to be able to do the bench today. So the Knicks traded all them picks for Mikal Bridges. You know, I think many of us, even if not at the time, at one point or another questioned whether that was the right decision. Does winning a championship make it worth it, or is it still wasn't the right move, but we won a championship anyway? Knick Nation?
Ultimately, I'm gonna, because I'll stay consistent with that. Ultimately, to me, it was the wrong move at the time. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Paris Duggar. Sorry, Knick Nation. I may not never get back to this. Shout out to Paris Duggar. Old players played through racism. I'm 64 today. I saw them all. Now JB and Bernard King were the best dominant offensive playoff players. Then Melo. I think he had another one. Okay. APAC. Oh, I think I read that one.
You read that one, man.
Okay. So, he did have another one. Paris Doug, I appreciate you for the super chat. Thank you for supporting us. Brunson got to do it longer to be best. Willis got 2 chips and an MVP over Russell and Chamberlain. JB needs at least 5 more All-Star games. 1 Ewing, 2 Clyde. Well, where's Willis? You said Willis got 2.
Willis must be 3 and then Jalen 4.
Over Russell and Chamberlain, and Ewing is 1 and Clyde is 2. Where's Russell? I mean, Willis.
Where's Willis?
I appreciate you rocking with us. Knick Nation.
Okay, where were we at again now? Because you know my condition too.
You got the condition.
Yeah, I got it. Oh, for sure. I graduated with it. You know what I mean?
You talk about Mikal Bridges. If winning the championship made it all worth it, or it really was a bad move, but we just happened to, but we won anyway.
I'm putting my GM hat on for a moment. A GM hat, I'm gonna say it was a bad move, because it's a few reasons. One, you set a precedence. You set a precedence that it's okay to pull out 5 picks for a player who, at the given point in time, had not truly excelled in power rankings. You know what I mean? Whatever you want to call it. But winning the chip does negate all of that because he was an integral part. Mm-hmm. But if I had to go back and if somebody said to me, this is what we're doing, no. I wouldn't
So
approve it.
even with the chip, going back, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it again.
Well, I'm not gonna put the, I'm not gonna flip it and put the horse in, the cart in
Mhm.
front of the horse. So as that wasn't done yet. So I still would say no.
Okay.
Um, I just think that 5 first rounders, it's just a lot. It's just a lot for not a player who was at his stage of his career, not really an all-star, not dominant in really true one thing. He was a good defender. He's at that time, borderline, because the word great is tough, but he was borderline, very, very good to, just a little bit of great at the time. And he wasn't a great offensive threat like that at the time either. He was on a team where he was the guy. He didn't have the guys, any other real guys around him like that for the most part. So of course he's going to shine because he's, it's being catered and dominant point to him. But the only thing that changes that, unfortunately, why I could understand it and why make many people, it's because the automatic chemistry that him and Jalen Brunson had with Josh Hart and understanding that point of a balance and what that brings to the game. So it was a tough move, but I just don't think I would have done it at the moment. And plus, we already had 3 of the guys. We were literally bringing 4 guys to the table at that time because we had DiVincenzo already. So I just don't think I would have done it. I wouldn't have pulled the trigger.
Okay. All right. Pam,
Okay.
does winning a championship make those picks worth it?
Picks are, they're picks. I don't know what they're going to turn out to be. I don't know what they are. Half the time when we had them, we didn't use them properly. So, look, for 5 of them, okay, maybe it was a bit much, but you're saying you're bringing a player into your team that fits the criteria of what you need. Brunson, he wanted his brother with him that he knows and he played with, he's won with. That's another chip in your system. He bringing the winning thing. Because in Phoenix he was doing pretty well too before he got traded to Brooklyn. So I think it was fine. We don't know what them chips are gonna those things gonna look like when they pick them anyway. They're going to be down in the bottom, right? Because we're always winning or whatever. So I I had no problems with it. I just wanted it, we won the chip. I don't care.
All right. All right. Ajay?
I kind of agree with Nick Nation. I still think it was an overpay, but probably for different reasons. Probably because I think when the Knicks went into the negotiation, when they sat at the negotiating table with the Nets, they knew that they had um, more tricks in the bag, so to speak, because we it was common knowledge at that point that, and Mikal Bridges let it, he literally put it out there that he's not going to resign with the Nets. He wants to play for the Knicks. So kind of the Nets really had to trade him. And because they had to trade him, I feel like we didn't have to give up all those picks. The Nets were not going to keep him, and he was not going to get traded somewhere else. So, worst case scenario, he would have been there to finish out his contract and come to the Knicks anyway. The Nets were not going to let that happen. So, they were going to take whatever they could for him at that point. So, we didn't have to pay all that to get him for that reason. And like the other reason became a mute point when we traded DiVincenzo to get Cat, because I also felt, and I remember saying this on one of these shows, that it didn't make sense to get Mikal Bridges because you get the same production from DiVincenzo at half the price. But we lost DiVincenzo, so it kind of made sense that they get Mikal Bridges, right, to replace that. Okay, and DiVincenzo was kind of coming off the bench at the time, but and sometimes he was starting, depending on what Tom Thibodeau was doing at the time. But I still feel like it was an overpay simply because we could have gotten him for less. Because the Nets, they were not in a great position um, to negotiate because they knew what Mikal Bridges was going to do.
But I will say this: he wasn't going to become a free agent that summer. He was going to become a free agent the summer
Following.
after that.
Correct.
And there was mixed narratives. One where he went to the office, said he wasn't going to resign, and he himself who said he never said that. So there were mixed messages as well as which one of those narratives was really true. So yeah, Geoff.
Well, I was against the trade from Jump Street because my thought process was you don't trade a star level package of picks for a player who's not an all star. That was my thought process at the time. But here's the thing: we're in a championship winning business. And if that's the finishing piece, and that was what they thought it was when they acquired him, was that this guy is the finishing piece, and it turns out he's one of the finishing pieces, then we don't know what those picks are going to be. I mean, 2027, 2029, 2031, unprotected, that could turn into 3 amazing players potentially. Maybe not, right? We don't know. Draft picks are a crapshoot anyway. You don't ever know. I mean, you could be talking about giving away the next Victor Wembanyama. You could be talking about the next Anthony Bennett, right? We don't know what they're going to be in the time, from in the future. And don't forget, there's still a pick swap in 2028 there as well. But when you win the championship and he has a critical role in winning that championship, that's what you're here to do. That's the name of the game. And if that's the price of doing business now, if we hadn't gotten to the championship, then I think you talk about, on the other side, one of the worst trades we probably ever made. But now that you've cemented the deal, look, this team is immortal. No matter what they do, no matter how much they hate it, no matter how much they cry, no matter how much they try and delegitimize it, they didn't play anybody. Never mind that we had the toughest path in the past 4 years. Look it up by seeding, people. Do the math. If you didn't need help with it, I will help you. But none of that matters. We're champions. This team is NBA champions forever. Mikal Bridges was a big part of that. And so, I mean, it's ask Nets fans if they would still make the trade today. All 4 of them probably tell you no.
Yeah, I agree with you, Geoff, in the sense that they thought he was the finishing piece, whether we agree with it or not. And they were willing to push their chips to the middle of the table for that. And it worked out. And it wasn't because he was riding the coattails of the other players either.
Right.
I don't think we win the chip without Mikal, the performances we've had from Mikal Bridges in these series. The latter part of that Atlanta series, was it the Philly series? He was just, the way the defense he put on Maxey. I think we do look a lot at offensive numbers, and I think we tend to underestimate what it takes to lock down a player and how much that helps you when that player is shooting inefficiently, or they don't get as many shots as they would normally get because you're denying the ball. It takes a lot of energy to do that, and he knocked down some big shots for us. So, and I've been very critical of Bridges throughout the season. I expected more. He's probably doing exactly what the front office wanted, but I expected more from him. And in that playoff run, I had no problems with Mikal Bridges at all. And they took a bet on him and they won.
Can I say one other thing that came to me while you sparked this in my mind? I was under the impression that this team needed another all-star to make it over the top. And that was where my criticism of I thought we needed another all-star, but maybe we didn't need an all-star. Maybe what we needed was a guy who could take a back seat in the offense, but at times, if you needed him to, could step up. Who had the second most points in the closeout game? Pretty sure it was Mikal. Quietly, nobody thinks about that, but Bridges, and so maybe it was a guy who doesn't have the ego, doesn't need to be the center of attention, but has some of this not really elite level all-star skill, but like a tier below that, and do all the little things that you need, kind of like Josh Hart does, and be egoless and not have to soak up shots, and is okay on the nights when they only get 3 looks at the basket, even though we wish that they would have taken more because it was open sometimes, right? But if you have another star in here that requires 12, 14, 16 shots, where are those coming from? Like, we're already struggling to get Cat the ball. How is OG looking if you take all the shots from him? And so maybe it's a Batman situation. He's not not the one we needed, but he's the one that we deserved, or however the saying goes. He was an integral piece, and he was able to blend in with what we had. And at the times when we needed him to, he got it done. And so kudos to him.
Also, he's healthy. 82 games and all the playoff games. So hey, that's a plus too.
Yeah. When I was at the parade today, I saw an ambulance, and I thought of Cat, I thought of Mitch, I thought of OG, and just how healthy they've been over the past 2 seasons. And that was a big part of us being able to, to win this chip. Because Cat came in with injury history. OG came in with injury history, and we already know about Mitch's injury history. So them being, healthy, this year and last year, not Mitch last year, but this year really, really helped. All right, let's move on to Josh Hart, who had I thought he had a good series overall, but he had some boneheaded plays, particularly in game 4. And a lot of times those boneheaded plays tend to color the entire, the entire series. Just talk to me about Josh Hart in the playoffs, in the regular season, what he brings, and it's very interesting in terms of lineup data, how clearly the Knicks were better, when they had a shooter on the floor. But they stuck with Josh Hart over 2 seasons, despite the lineup data, and won more than 50% of their games and the championship. And I get it, they won despite him. But I don't know if you could. You can win despite a player, but over 50% of the time, and it's like that's just really hard to reconcile in my mind. Geoff is the stats guy, so maybe he can help me out. But just talk to me, guys, about Josh Hart, who sometimes is Josh Fart. Talk to me
That's
about
a good one.
And a juicy one at that.
That's a good one.
Let's start with you, Ajay. Ajay was very upset with him.
Well, Reed, that's a nice way to put it. That he boneheaded plays. He flat out tried to lose that game. I mean, he between him, ball watching and not paying attention to his man that he's supposed to be boxing out, to him missing on that. Missing on that layup. It happens. The guy's running. He's got momentum. It's physics. The ball carried a little bit further than he wanted it to, especially he was looking over his shoulders. But he's committing foul. He's all over the place in that one particular game, right? But overall, he's a good player to have, and I understand why because he does a lot of the intangibles that helps you win games, right? He creates some of those the most awkward steals. Like he sticks his hand in there. Next thing you know, they all on the floor. There's a scramble, and he's the one that pops up with the ball, and the other guy still scrambling, not even realize the ball's gone. You know, he's a excellent rebounder for his size. Obviously, he's I don't know the numbers, but the eye test tells me that he's really good at grabbing a rebound and going all the way to the other basket in scoring. Like he's a one-man fast break, pretty much. I don't know if he's the best in the league, but I don't watch the whole league. But I watch Josh Hart. He does that all the time. He's very good at it. Again, for his size, he's a great rebounder. And this season, again, the eye test tells me that he's become a better three-point shooter this season. Compared, I don't know what the stats say, but somehow this season, when he takes a three, you're a little bit more comfortable than when he did it last season. Last season's like, oh no, why is Josh even on the floor? We need a score. But this season, you was like kind of comfortable with him, even though he missed. You know, he
did not shoot well in the playoffs at all from three.
Especially the last series, he was horrible. But overall, this season, he's not in the playoffs. Queen, I feel like he's got a couple of games in the playoffs where he was very good from 3-point.
Oh yeah,
from 3-point range. I can't remember which one, but definitely against San Antonio Spurs, he was not good, at all. So, yeah. But overall, I think he's a good guy to have on your team, because of all the intangibles that he brings, especially at his size. Like it's almost like he shocks the big guys. Like they didn't think this guy would fly out of nowhere and grab the rebound right in front of them. So, yeah, that's what I think of him.
Okay, Pam.
He's our energy bunny. He's the man that just keeps everybody hyped, and I like him. Even though, I think in Villanova he was a point guard. He just outgrew it. Yeah, that's why he can break and get the layup. I think in Villanova he was a point guard, or in high school, one of them. He started off and then he got bigger, so they moved him. And but he does everything else. Sometimes when he does the nut, how he's like, John Stark, stop it. And then I said, oh, that's not him. But he doesn't give up. He'll do a bun-head play, and he'll get on, and he'll do something else, and you'll forget all about what he did the last time. So I like Josh. Josh is the heart and soul right there. Does everything else.
Okay, Geoff, then Knick Nation. You're muted, Geoff.
You're muted, Geoff.
Bad. I'm going to say something that's going to surprise Ajay a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Did you know that he made 8 of his last 15 threes in the Spurs series?
Yeah.
In the Spurs series?
He shot 40% in the final. He shot 40% from 3 in the finals after missing his first 5.
The eye test is not good. Thanks, Geoff.
Look it up. I had when you said that, I did a double check. I saw an article that didn't. I thought that too. And overall in the playoffs, Josh did not shoot the ball well from 3 until the final series. But he was, and I think what stands out in your mind is he had that one where there was nobody around him, like he was the entire state of Texas open, and he bricked it. And so I think maybe that's the one that stands out in your mind, because that's the one that stood out in my mind from game 5. Like that really could have been a dagger, and instead it was an empty possession that Brunson had kicked it out to him. Nobody near him, and he missed it. But he actually was 8 of his last 15 from 3 in the Spurs series, and he shot 40% from 3 for the season, and so he also smoked that layup, which would have been the
The go-ahead.
Halliburton
Yep.
Ewing finger roll of doom, Charles Smith play moment if the Knicks hadn't come back and won. So you know, but you know, and he does have his times when he ball watches and gets clobbered on defense. But there's also times when he mans up and he's super physical defensively, and he just makes life miserable for the guy that he's guarding. There are times when he can guard with a physicality that Brunson and Bridges just can't. And I noticed multiple times in this playoffs when he was tasked with, even in the first round, I think when he got CJ McCollum, I think that was the end of the CJ McCollum sweepstakes, was when Hart kind of went on him. So, you know, I think that if you want to say that he's the least of our 5 starters, I think that's accurate. But you just look at what he's being paid comparison to the other guys, and that's pretty evident. Like the Knicks kind of think that too, right? But that doesn't mean that he's not a vital part of the starting 5. And oh, by the way, a starting 5 that I was super critical of going into the season, and we had all the lineup data, this, that, and other. Look at their plus minus for that starting 5 unit this year, and you'll see a completely different story. They were
for the entire
outstanding.
year, Geoff, or just the playoffs?
For the entire season.
Wow.
For the entirety of the season. Look at the correct me if I'm wrong, but I think if you look at it, I think you'll see an entirely different scenario. I think they were as high as plus 13 in net rating with those 5 on the floor. They were very good. This season, not last season, they were not, but they improved as the season went along, and you know, he's still I think he's tied with Richie Guerin for 3rd on the all-time triple-double list. So, you know, kudos to him for that too. So, you know, he does a lot of things really well. He's a tear your hair out player sometimes, but you know, he also makes a lot of winning plays too. And the Knicks trust him. Everybody in that starting lineup trusts him. And Jalen Brunson said when he smoked that layup and you saw him foul Wembanyama afterwards, and he had his heart in his hands. I'll never forget that scene. He had his heart. He was on his knees and he had his heart in his hands. I think it was Towns and Alvarado and Brunson all picked him up and said, "Next play." And then Jalen said, "We got this." And then they went out and got it.
Yeah. He was a good defensive player. Then he became a hot mess on the defensive end. And then they put him on Jalen Johnson. I was like, what are we doing here? Remember when the series started? I'm like, what are we doing here? And I thought he did well. To Geoff's point about CJ McCollum, I thought he did well there. And in the Philly series, or was it the Cleveland series? I don't know about that Cleveland series. I think they put him on Harden or Mitch, Donovan. I don't know. I would have to go back and see. I don't think that was great. But anyway, his defense turned up in the playoffs, and I do think he's better on ball because you have to stay focused. This is your guy. He has the ball than he is when he's playing team basketball, and you got to be in your spots because he'll just zone out and somebody will just sneak in, you know. But I value what he brings to the team, and it's like one brain fart for 15 hearts, you know. But they just come at inopportune times, though.
Yeah.
Nick Nation, did you want to say anything before we move on to Mike Brown and get out of here?
As far as Hart, I mean, for me, Hart to me is more like a game of Uno. You know what I mean? Like he's a wild card. You draw, you know what I mean? Draw 4, reverse, draw 2, pick up this, reverse again. You know, you never know what's going on sometime with him. But to me, his biggest flaw is definitely not his shooting. It's his pace. He outpaces the team. He outpaces himself a lot. If you begin to watch what he's doing, if you look around at times, you're like, where's the rest of the team? Hart is zipping past and zipping down. And then what he does is he gets himself into situations where he'll jump in the air, and all of a sudden he's got to reverse his whole hips, his body. He's a hell of an athlete because it takes a lot to be able to do that. Where he'll turn and he'll have to pivot, throw the ball and get a pass. and then sometimes it gets picked off and other things. But the man is definitely a hell of an athlete, though, because if you ever seen any of those collective videos where Hart is running at full speed, he get right to that line, right at the edge. Somehow that man can still hold balance, stay in bounds, and toss the ball to somebody way off, you know what I mean, down the court somewhere. He does that a lot. And let's not forget, one of the major things of always with Hart is he's the number one guard in rebounding for what, the last few years. You know, I'm not going to really rate Luka Doncic in that field because that's what they did. They tried to put Luka Doncic in that field. Luka Doncic is 6'7". He's 6'7", what's his name is? He's really the size of a power forward. You know, I'm not going to sugarcoat that. He's not like, he shouldn't be really listed in a guard situation like that in that sense. But even with that, and most of the times, Hart is still a lot of times better. He's, what he brings, that fire, that tenacity, that spirit not to quit, that edge of a toughness. He's got an edge about him. He's quirky. He'll do wild things. You know what I mean? He'll do, even with practical jokes. No, we all will never forget about the thumb. You know what I mean? That'll be weird for me for life. But I dead sure would always want to go into a game with a guy like that because he doesn't back down. He's a full warrior when it comes to things like that. He's just a wild card. So at times he is, rising. Then other times, you're not sure what he's doing. Like, wait, what are you doing? You're buzzing around like a wild bee over here. Calm down. But it's what we prioritize. We, for the most part, the Knicks team, if you think about it, right, we had one of the number one 2010 guys. We had the number one offensive rebound guys, and then the number one, rebounding guard. So it's what we prioritize and becomes into a point of a team. So he's hard for this team and how he fits in this team. He's awesome. Even though people say that he can play on any team because he has those, those intangibles of what he can do. But to me, he truly fits what this team prioritizes and what this team does. Because we definitely high prioritize in rebounds, high prioritize in getting our second shots, high prize in getting that stop and getting that rebound and going the other way. And who does that better than Josh Hart?
Yeah.
So,
great point.
He's a good guy. Yeah.
Did everybody get a chance? Like, I feel like we need to move on to Mike Brown, and kind of keep our responses to like 2.5 minutes.
Queen, I have to jump off. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead. Yeah.
But I really wanted to say something about Mike Brown. So like I'll go with Mike Brown and then I'll jump off. So Mike
Okay.
Brown.
All right. So you'll go first. So Mike Brown took over a team that had just reached the Eastern Conference Finals. The expectations were enormous. We know he met the expectations. What was the biggest thing he brought? What was the biggest thing that he changed? And anything else you want to add about Mike Brown, Ajay?
Okay. So like you said, the expectations were high. And the biggest thing Mike Brown bought is exactly what they hired him for, is what Tom Thibodeau refused to do. I know it's hard to talk about Mike Brown without mentioning Tom Thibodeau. I really hope after this we don't, but I know we will. But he literally did exactly what Tom Thibodeau refused to do, is like all the things, right? Involve the bench a little more, spread, a little more, and have more guys contribute to you winning a little more. Okay, and that's really what the stubbornness that that Tibbs had, he didn't have. Involve your staff a little more, your coaching staff. You have 80 guys on your staff. Listen to them and put it all together, right? Listening to the players, maybe Mike Brown did this or maybe he didn't. But I think he went into the season knowing exactly what he wanted to do, and he worked throughout the whole season to get to the point where he wanted his guys. And there are games we won in the series that Tom Thibodeau would have never won. Like, there are games where Mikal Bridges sat the whole fourth quarter because he wasn't producing. Tibbs would have died on that Mikal Bridges hill We know that we've seen it. There are games where you have guys not producing, and even the last few games, Deuce didn't play as many minutes because he wasn't getting. And we have games where Josh Hart wasn't producing. Josh Hart was on the bench, and Landry Shamet came in and went like some 11 for 12, something crazy like that from three, something we would never be like. He came in, he delivered exactly what they wanted, and shout out to him for doing that. Okay, and that's all I wanted to say. I'm going to be listening because I have to run out.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Thanks to the chat. Hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the like button, and we will have other shows. We will have shows throughout the summer. All right. There you go, brother. All right. Good night, guys.
Knick Nation, expectations was high for Mike Brown. What was, in your opinion, what was the biggest thing that he changed or the biggest thing that he brought to the team?
I'm going to keep it real short, like you said, under 150 characters, you said. So I'm going to keep it short. I'm going to say flexibility, and if this is truly a word, inclusivity.
Inclusiveness?
Yeah. Inclusiveness or inclusivity. You know what I mean? Got a little spark to it. But yeah, to me, I think that was really what changed things, because it that makes the players feel more connected, more recognized, you know what I mean, more heard, however you want to word it in that sense. And what their experience has also brought to the game, because actually playing the game at that level, you know what I mean, you could be a great coach, you know what I mean, but you might not be able to experience, from a player's perspective, what it is to go through that. And he, like he said, he opened his door and he was open to that. So for me, those were the biggest things for it. So I'll keep it at that.
Yeah. But he opened the door and listened. Tom Thibodeau opened the door too and listened. But it sounds like he implemented, the ideas as well. Pam, what do you think Mike Brown brought to the team this season?
He had a system. He changed the system with the players that he have. He put in the system, and he brought the system to him, and he could change on a dime. Like, oh, that's not working. Let me throw this out and put this in. So he was open to saying, hey, what do y'all see out there? Let me see what I can put in here and have these guys. What do you think that this will work for you or not work for you?
Mm-hmm.
And he did it, because that game, he was like, okay, all right, you come out. Let me put Shaman in. No, he wasn't. No, let's pull him out. Let's put Carson in. Nope,
right,
you're not doing it.
Right.
Come on, Alvarado, let's go. And then when it worked, he was like, oh, okay. And he left it there.
Right.
Right. And he didn't run these players to the ground. I love Tibbs, but the reason why he's not here, just like the Liberty coach wasn't here, you play your 5 starters for over 40, and they're dead in playoffs. They don't have any legs left. They have nothing left. They can only give but so much. So he came in, time went down, everybody's healthy going into the playoffs, and he can use his bench responsibly.
There you go.
That's it.
Geoff?
I think Pam said it beautifully. I think that this is a team that probably could have won, if it maximized the minutes of its starting unit, probably won 57, 58 games. If that had been the goal, but the goal was never just to win the most regular season games. It was to win 16 games in the postseason. And what did we see in the Cleveland series? What did we see in the San Antonio series? We flat out wore them out. In the first half, the Spurs had a 10-point lead in every game in that series, every single one. And they couldn't maintain it and they couldn't sustain it because they had to work so hard. And I mean, they wore themselves out to get that lead. And then come crunch time, Brunson just cooked them. OG just cooked them. They played hard. they just didn't have enough gas in the tank, and we knew what that was because that's what we suffered in San Antonio. What did Josh Hart say after the season? I had nothing left in the tank. I was done. Well, he'd played over 40 minutes a game. He led the league in minutes played. Oh, by the way, when you sweep, you get 8 days off in between series twice. I think that's a massive factor. And then the ability to make adjustments. I know I'm not the only one who brought it up, but the Jose Alvarado playing the entire fourth quarter, I think that showed everything. It was the mad scientist chemistry set that Pam was talking about. I'm just going to throw stuff at the wall. I'm going to throw it against the wall until something sticks. And then when it sticks, that was the key. I'm going to stick with it. If that's the unit that's rocking, that's the one that got us back in the game. I'm not just going to put this player back in because it's 6 minutes left and that's my normal rotation. These guys are rocking. They've got it moving. Mikal, you just sit here and be a cheerleader today. You're going to get your chance another time, and we just going to do it this way. And I thought he really had a pulse on the players, and he, it worked out, but he was willing to make the moves and make the adjustments. And so kudos to him.
But I also think he grew over the season too.
100.
I thought he grew over the season too. And I think part of it was him learning the players as well. Because there was times when we were sitting here like, what the hell is Mike Brown doing? As far as lineups is concerned, and what the hell is he doing in terms of not using Cat to his full potential. But what I absolutely love about Mike Brown is he will listen to his staff. He will listen to the players. He will take it into consideration. He may not always change it, because I'm pretty sure going into Atlanta, somebody told him Cat was the guy. But sometimes you got to see it for yourself. You believe in what you drew up and you go with it. You can't fault anyone for that. But when he saw it wasn't working and he switched it up, that's when I was like, oh, this is my guy right here. He not dying on the hill, whatever that was, a Brunson hill, whatever hill that was. He was like, we down 2-1. We got to make some changes. And what he came up with, I don't know if it was him or the offensive coordinator, was just beautiful in terms of using Cat and that flex play, and the Knicks executed it to a T. I really don't have anything to add to what you guys said. The versatility, the in-game adjustments, the between-game adjustments, the searching, trying to find, what works, sitting players down, but always coming back to them so they don't lose confidence. And he did that in the regular season as well. Come back to him. So he was everything. If you think about it, what did we want when we hired a new coach? We wanted to keep our floor. And then we wanted a coach that was better in the places that we needed them to be better than Thibodeau. And that was schematically, that was lineup wise, and that was in the usage of the players.
Minutes, yes.
And I'm not gonna lie, that floor fluctuated a little bit throughout the season, but somewhere in the playoffs, that floor was solidified, and we also got the ceiling. We also got the schematics. We also got the lineups. We also got the player usage, because that helps the players out. Lineups help players out. Schemes help players out. And if you don't have the right schemes and the right lineups, you have some of these players that can outplay that. But it helps to kind of work with the play. And I heard Mike Brown say multiple times, what can I do to help them? Like, what can I do to put them in the best position to be successful? And I think that's what all of that tinkering was about. Me, Knick Nation, throughout the season, we was critical. Like, you ain't gonna win us over just because you talking slick. You know what I mean? We watching you, Mike Brown. And by the end of the season, and again, took him some time, I think, to learn the players and what have you. By the end of the season, going into the playoffs, the team was smoking, but Mike Brown was smoking. And all of that together helped us reach this this championship. So shout out to Mike Brown for for what he brought to the team, and let's go for that repeat. Yeah. So we're not gonna get it. So I'm just gonna say this before we close. Anything else on Mike Brown before we close out? All right. So before we wrap up, Dolan, we're not gonna get into this, but I should mention it. James Dolan made comments about not wanting to go into the second apron, which means this roster could look different next season. We'll have plenty of time to discuss this in depth. We might even do a show Monday for like an hour or so just to discuss this particular topic. But I guess my last question is, if this was the last time this exact group was together, what would you remember the most about them, Knick Nation?
Oof. I think that I've always hear the words sacrifice, but I think that these guys truly, truly, truly did. There were a lot of guys who just bought in and truly bought in, 100 lock, stock, bond. Remember Mikal in the Mr. Points of the Year, he was very indifferent in that statement that he came out with, So to me, I heard them, because a lot of times it's just, sometimes guys say things or whatever, it's media speak, but this, what's name, was 100% and right on. So yeah, that's my middle son y'all see right behind me.
Hey.
Yeah, he's just coming from outside there. He can't hear us, so that's why. But yeah, that to me, like I say, was big and huge, and yeah, that was it for me. That was what's name. I'm not gonna eat the whole ball, eat all the meat off yet. At least meat.
Pam, what if this is the last time we see this particular team together, what will you remember the most about them?
Their togetherness. They're able to pick each other up and not give up, and know that whatever happened in the past, we can get through it, and we can bust through it, and we can break through it together. One mind.
Yeah. Geoff?
Well, my thought, Mitchell Robinson is my favorite Knick player, and it may be the last time I ever see him in a New York Knick uniform. If what he says is true, and so if that be the case, the guy was here when we won 17 games.
That's right.
8 years ago, and now he's here in his truck in the parade, championship, forever NBA champion, played the entire playoffs with a broken pinky, and just never complained, did what was asked of him, probably could have gotten more minutes on other teams, but he knew his role. He was critical in certain possessions. He wasn't great, in my opinion, in these playoffs. He had his moments, but overall, I thought he was pretty mid. But if that's the last time I ever see you in a Knick uniform, I couldn't have asked for a better way for you to go out. I respect you. I love you, man. You just my heart, and I hope that is wrong. But if that's how you're going to ride into your New York Knicks sunset, there's not a better way to do it.
There you go. I think what I'll remember the most is just how this team just grew up in real time in the playoffs. How we talked about how they was leaving so much meat on the bone, and how the IQ wasn't great, and how there was so much more potential for this team that we just was not taking advantage of. And to see them in real time turn into that team in the playoffs on both ends of the court is something that I will remember the most about this team. Yeah. Thank you guys for rocking with us. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Greg, David Bayer, Train 47, 047. Appreciate you, sis. Kim Doc was in the house. Geraldine MacGyver in the house. Latoria in the house, Greg, Sadu Barry. I'm not going to get to everybody. Parrish Duggar, Dwayne, Dennis. I appreciate you. Sherman was in the house early. East Blue Drew. Appreciate you. Quality Jumper. All right. Okay. Welcome back. It's been a minute. X Productions 90s. The X Productions 90s. Rafa or Rafa. Appreciate you as well. Randu. JJ. How could I forget? BKNY 1982. J Rax.
Oh, you know what?
Old Head was in the house as well. Kerry Cox. You were going to say something, Knick Nation?
Yeah, only thing I missed, did you guys talk about, because when I was leaving, when I left you guys down from downtown and took the bus back, I saw and heard one of the worst takes I've ever heard in basketball. Did you guys see that, what the guys were talking about on ESPN? It was one of the worst takes.
Participation trophies.
Yeah, that
nonsense.
Yeah.
We'll
talk about that
some
some other
Monday.
time. Yeah.
Maybe we'll get to that Monday. Yeah, I thought that was a bad take too. I talked about that. I was on Gotham Grit with Trey.
Yeah,
and we talked about that. Shout out to Trey, as well.
I like Trey.
I forgot what I was going to. Oh, I was giving shout outs also to the replay gang. Appreciate you, and the silent listeners. Always a pleasure. And we might be back Monday. We're thinking about. I have to get together. We'll do our little chat Monday and Thursday. Going twice a week for June and July, but that Monday show just an hour and a half, just to take one topic in depth without covering everything like we do, multiple topics like we do in a weekly show. So
yeah, and we got the draft coming too.
Yeah, definitely. Stay tuned. Pam, appreciate you, sis, for dropping on and leveling up the panel. Appreciate you. Knick Nation and Geoff, you already know. Ajay, appreciate you. Jerrell, happy anniversary. Until next time, family. Peace.
Thank you, family.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Sister, it's time you
That's
shine.
her.
Dope Soul.
Where you at?
Dope Soul.